Going to Auschwitz is an amazing trip, but having the opportunity to actually go with a survivor, that's just unbelievable. We went to Birkenau, which is called Auschwitz II, which was the death camp. And the first thing you see is that famous archway where the trains went under. The Jewish people called that the gates to hell. Eva told her story of coming from Romania. 3 days, 3 nights on a cattle car with no food and no water. Every time the cattle car stopped to refuel, the prisoners would beg the guard for water. He would say, "Give me 5 gold watches." So the men would give the guard 5 gold watches, and then they would simply spray the car down with water. They had no idea what Auschwitz was when they arrived. They were tired, they were hungry, there were thousands of people. When they got off the train, Eva and her twin sister Miriam, they were 10 years old, wearing dresses that their mom had made for them. Eva turned around, her dad was gone. She would never see her dad again. She would never see her older sisters again. They were sent straight to the gas chamber. Her mom held her hand in her sister's hand for the longest time. 15, 20 minutes went by. A Nazi SS guard came and asked, "Are they twins?" And Eva's mom says, "Is twins a good thing?" And the guard said, "Yes." So the guards took the girls. Eva was crying, Miriam was crying, and her mom was yelling, and that's the last time Eva's seen her mom, as she was sent directly to the gas chamber. Eva and her sister Miriam went to the twins' cell, and Dr. Mengele, also called the Angel of Death, was that terrible, terrible Nazi physician who did all those experiments on the twins. There were 3 dead bodies in the bathroom laying on the floor that night of dead children who died in the night from starvation and the experiments that Dr. Mengele was doing. When your twin dies, the next morning they immediately kill the other twin so Dr. Mengele can do the comparable autopsies. He did awful things like sewed twins together to see how long they would survive, take the blood out of one and put the blood in another. Eva and Miriam were one of those less than 200 who survived. The first 2 to leave camp on Liberation Day, and there's a famous picture of the 2 holding hands. There was a former Nazi doctor who wanted to meet her. Dr. Mooch was an SS doctor whose job it was to sign the death certificate. When they would crowd 600-800 people inside a gas chamber, and they would drop the poison pellets down, the little children nearest the floor would be the first to die. The stronger people would end up on top of the pile. And Dr. Mooch said after 20-25 minutes, he would look through the peephole. If the pile on top quit moving, then he knew everybody was dead. Eva went to meet Dr. Mooch, and she decided to forgive this Nazi doctor what he did. She gave the letter to a person at the college who helped her write it and said, "Well, you also have to forgive Dr. Mengele. You have to forgive the Nazis." And she said, "I can't do that." Eva lost over 100 family members at Auschwitz. A few weeks later, Eva thought, you know, that's the best thing to do, is to forgive everybody. She did this just to give herself peace. But for the longest time, Eva had never forgiven her parents. So Eva chose this time to read a letter of forgiveness to her parents. And she said, "Dear Papa, you were very mean to me. You were angry with me that I was not a boy. But you belted me and beat me daily. I was just a little girl. Mama kept telling you to leave me alone. I learned to outsmart you and defy you, which came in handy once we were at Auschwitz. I forgive you, Papa, for not escaping. I forgive you, Papa, for all the beatings and hardships you put me through. It made me strong enough to survive Auschwitz. I love you, Papa. There were 7 Catholic priests who were at Auschwitz that day. She told them she forgave Dr. Mengele, she forgave the Nazis, which is incredibly hard to believe when you're at a site where over 1 million people lost their lives. And one of the youngest priests was in tears, and Eva went up to him. She said, "Young man, what does forgiveness mean to you?" And he said, "Eva, you're the greatest example of forgiveness of any person I've ever met."